It's Not Another Buffalo Podcast, hosted by three of the most underqualified sports personalities this side of the canal. With John.
All you people out there who are like, these idiots don't know anything. First of all, you're right. And second of all,
Pat.
I'm just a dad talking in a closet, but I'm just saying.
And Brando.
We have this trust built on whatever it is, like Bibles and gold bricks and whatever Brandon Bean's drinking over there.
all right, welcome back to Not Another 3-0 effing podcast. Woo-hoo. It is Victory Tuesday, probably Wednesday by the time you guys are listening to this. I'm here with Pat, Brando. I always point the wrong way because we're arranged differently when we do this live. As always, this episode is brought to you guys by Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, our guy is Zach Korzelius. You can find him at smallcityrealestate.com or call him at 585-409-1088. That's 585-409-1088. We got a good show for you guys today. We're going to break down Bills Jags, go into Bills Ravens a little bit. We got Pat for a little bit here before he has to go back to dad duty. So that'll be fun. We'll do our game picks, fit him in before then. But gentlemen, did you guys expect the season to start this way? Like 3-0? Like I'm kind of like living my best Bills life right now.
Did you? I think you did.
I didn't. I'm the eternal optimist, and I didn't expect it to go this well. Like I was thinking 2-1. Maybe. And Brando, you were Mr. Negativity and Pat was Mr. I guess
not at the start.
I guess we'll see how it goes.
Not yet. The negative part was when we get into the super tough games. And mind you, I'm super happy. Great night yesterday. But last year we had 3 games in a row with over 30 points as well, starting 3-1. And then the wheels fell off. So I'm super hyped. I think this is different. I think the offense looks different in our run right now than it did last year in a great way. So that is a great thing for us to be able to believe this is different, but that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not negative. Yeah. I'm not negative. I didn't expect this though. I don't think anybody expected this unless your name is Josh Allen.
It's true. One of the things that I said this offseason, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about last week and again the week before that, where it's like, it's going to look different, but maybe that's good as long as it's good. I was like, before the season, I got caught up watching highlights of the Josh Allen game against the Patriots, the perfect game, right? Where they went 7 for 7 on touchdown drives, which is so funny that the announcers like Louis Riddick and Dan Orlovsky couldn't remember what game that was because they were like, we haven't seen Josh Allen play this perfect since maybe that AFC Championship game. And it's like, he didn't really play perfect in that AFC Championship game. That's not you're not thinking of I was going to say, you're not thinking of the right game. Yeah. They were probably thinking of 13 seconds, but they were mixing up all the Bills Chiefs playoff games. But anyway, it looks the same amount of easy as it did when it was the Brian Daboll air raid offense. Yes. And it's not air raid, which is like better than I could have hoped for yesterday, in any possible way. They're more balanced. They're more unpredictable than ever. It looks easy. They're marching down the field. It's just so great. I watched the highlights like 3 times in a row today.
Yesterday might have been an air raid offense. They threw the ball a ton. They are now up to 6th in the league in passing balance compared to rushing, which is great. We keep talking about this. You can throw any card that you want. It doesn't matter. It's not like we're going to play man defense while we're getting lit on fire. We can rotate to a run game. We can rotate to an air raid. We can rotate to a play action game. And you see it. You see it every week here. It's been different every week. It's been awesome. But it's such an ego thing. Like who's got the ego in Jacksonville's coach's corner? Because it's Doug Peterson. Is it Mr. Mustache defensive coordinator? I don't know his name. I heard him referenced as Mr. Mustache. I don't even know if he has a mustache. I don't know this guy.
No,
I don't even want to look him up. He's not going to be there very much longer if they keep doing this. So,
yeah. Or it could be Daniel Jones with long hair at the quarterback position. So, as we kind of saw yesterday a little bit. But I don't know, Pat, what are some of the things that you liked? Like, what stuck out to you? What was kind of your favorite part of the game?
Well, I thought it was pretty cool. All 3 running backs caught a pass. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Ty Johnson caught a touchdown too. Brandon, I was doing the same thing again. I was staring at a plus 1,000 TD score prop, and I was like, "No, that's stupid." And I was like, "I don't know." Ty Johnson, stupid. He got open against last week, and so anyway, they're all stupid until they score.
Yeah,
but
it was cool. And linebacker play still 10 out of 10. It was awesome. Yep. And Joe Andreessen was in there for a little bit at the very end.
Yep.
Fell down. couple times.
Was he on special teams a little bit? I think maybe on a kickoff. I thought I saw him.
He was playing playing linebacker at the end too.
Yeah.
When it was 47-3 or whatever, 47-10 right there at the end. But Ray Davis touchdown, as well too. I got lucky. I live bet that in like the third quarter, and so that worked out pretty well. But
James Cook drops another touchdown.
I know, dude. I was like pointing at Elizabeth, and I was like, this happened so many expletive times. I was like, if you would have seen the Chiefs game, he dropped one just as bad.
And the Eagles and the Cowboys and now the Jags, you name it. I got it in my brain here because as a James Cook heavy fantasy football owner in multiple leagues, I lost by 4 points in one league. I lost by 7 points in another league. And I lost by 8 points in another league, all with James Cook. All would have won if he would have caught that ball. So I was a little salty. I still think he's playing out of his mind this year. The route that he ran, it was just the first play of the game is all you needed to see for the rest of the game. It's like, Jimmy, just slide over there. See if you got a linebacker. Oh, you got a linebacker? Go. All right, boom.
Yeah.
Done.
Perfect pick play with Mac Hollins coming over there and kind of running the inexperienced corner into the linebacker. Oh, it was great. It was great. And I actually saw a breakdown today. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. I wish I could credit them. But the Jags tried to run the same exact play with slightly different window dressing, and it did not work. That was the play where Dorian Williams was in coverage.
Stuck stride for stride on ETN.
Dorian Williams in pass coverage deep into the end zone.
He's leading the team in tackles right now, man. I mean,
he had the highest PFF grade for our defense yesterday.
Wow.
He popped with the eye test yesterday. And again, it's harder to see everybody on the field when it's right in front of you. I watched the first half. I made a buddy in the usher section. We watched delightful. The Dalton Kincaid corner route was directly in front of me. And it was like,
the scramble drill one?
That one too, but the one to lead up to that. To get him
okay.
The long one.
I got you. Yeah, his long reception.
Yep. And Josh knew it was going to be open. Everybody knew it was going to be open. And he threw that ball with such anticipation. As soon as he went off the line, I was like, Kincaid. And then the ball's in the air. Like, Kincaid hasn't made his break yet. Boom, right on the sideline in his hands. It was cool. But it is hard to see everybody on the field. Is Knox in as the second tight end? Who's in at linebacker? Are we in dime, nickel, 4-3? But Dorian Williams flashed yesterday multiple times. He was easy to spot, and I thought that was awesome. Him, Ingram, and our lo and behold most underrated player no longer, hopefully, Christian Benford is just lockdown, just a stud.
Brandon, I'm sorry. I did you dirty because
Yes, you did do me dirty, but that's okay. I know you waited. For a great game. It's fine. It was. I
didn't wait. I was just like,
you went back and found it.
We need, it's a good time to put out content the morning after a game, right? And obviously for us, that's impossible because we tape a couple days after the game usually, and then I have to edit the episode and go through it. But anyway, I was like, we have this clip. I didn't edit it down, and this morning I'm looking at it. I was like, it still fits. They had great games last night, so I was like, this still works. It's from last week's episode. No one will know. And so, sorry.
No, it was good. I texted you. Whatever you did, I think it looked fantastic. The quality was great.
I did the same thing. So maybe your internet service is working better.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about Schmeckstrom and their trash. They just dropped them. Boom, green light, baby. Let's go. Anyways, I digress. We are talking about the corners. And the more that they play like that, John, I'll give it to you. I will give it to you all day long until they put the season together. 16 games ranked. I'll give it for 16 games. You don't even need to have a 17th game because it was 16 for the other times. But if they can get to 16 games as the number one rated pass defense, this is number one.
Yeah.
Number one quarterback.
And you're right. Like, it's still early. Like, we haven't played the Chiefs. We haven't played, some of these really intense late season games because the Bills defense usually looks good in the first 3 games, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With a few exceptions. But so again, I'm not trying to curb my own enthusiasm here, but it does take a full sample size to get to that. So.
Well, you're right. But the other thing is you see that, the offense has to catch up to the defense usually, right? So you just kind of said that. And our defense has really been Usain Bolting this race for 7 years, which is cool. I mean, the NFL has finally kind of closed the gap with our scheme that we play. But even last year, the offense was a dud against the Jets. They're good defense. But then they went off and had those 30-point games. And we were saying Ken Dorsey was the man, all this crap. So I want to see it consistently keep going because those Browns Ken Dorsey teams are dumpster fires, man. We were texting.
Yeah. Hey, Well, the Joe Brady led offense of the Buffalo Bills has only lost one game since he's taken over.
9-1.
And in that game, they scored 34 points. So I think that's looking pretty good for the most part. But anyway, sorry, Brandon, I don't want to cut you off. You and I can talk a little bit more about this game after the break, but we're going to have to get our game picks in because Pat's got to go on dad duty. Before we get into game picks, a little transition here. Pat, you want to read us a dad joke? Because I see that book.
Always.
We'll do our weekly dad joke from Pat, and then we'll get into some game picks here.
What crime do blacksmiths often get charged with?
I feel like we got to get this.
Like a blacksmith, think about like, making, I've been playing a lot of RuneScape, outing myself as a gigantic nerd. Yeah, I didn't think it did. And I just was so flipping bored on paternity that I booted it up. But a blacksmith in that game, makes some weapons, some armor. So what crime would that person frequently be charged with?
I don't know, Pat. What is it?
Like
Forgery.
Forgery.
Like that. That's funny. That's good. That's good.
All right, Brando, you want to roll us into some game picks here?
Now, I want to stop and just take a minute here to appreciate the man, the dad, the legend, Pat Cap, for going 5-1 in our week 3 picks to extend his lead. He is 11-7. The next closest competitor is me at 8-10, and then John, he's sitting
distant in the rear view.
He's sitting back there.
Objects in mirror are farther than they appear.
He is getting the field of the crowd to make his way through, and John is sitting at 6-12.
Great with props, bad with game picks.
Yep. So Pat went 5-1. He only missed the Jacksonville Jaguars. Did not cover. So that was unfortunate. So we're going into week 4 now of the season. Our first game, we are looking at Minnesota going into Lambeau against Green Bay. Green Bay is a -2.5 point favorite. Pat, what do you got for us?
I got the redemption arc on both sides, but I got to go with Malik or Jordan Love. Doesn't matter. Packers at home. Big dub.
John?
The Minnesota D is like stopping everybody all of a sudden, which is crazy. They're like 3rd in the power rankings now, which I don't think anyone saw that coming, but I'm going to continue fading Malik Willis until the day I die. So I'm going to take Minnesota +2.5.
Yeah. Well, John, I don't want to out you on this one. I believe you talked kind of trash about Malik Willis at one point on this show.
I did. Here. It's one game. It's one game.
Friend of the show, Sam picked him up for fantasy football quarterback.
2 games at this point though, but
yeah, he's 2-0.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say he won the first game. Didn't really do much. He did a lot more in this past game. I'll give him credit. Yeah. Revenge game against the Titans. That was quite entertaining. I have some friends who are Titans fans who are quite depressed at this moment.
Do Titans fans care about their team?
Yes. I have discovered that. That wasn't my initial impression when I went to Belmont, but anyway, well, Brandon, what you got?
I think the Lambeau leap is too tall for Sam Darnold. So give me the Packers to win at home.
I like it.
Next, we are going to Vegas, where the Cleveland Browns will bring their talents to SoFi Stadium to play the Raiders. Again, maybe this is a toilet bowl game, but John, I want you to make your pick first.
It was slim pickings in the AFC this week for sure. There's a couple of NFC matchups on here that we wouldn't normally do, but it was not a lot of great matchups across the AFC. So anyway, I'm going to keep fading Deshaun Watson until they bench him for, someone else who's anybody on that roster is better. What do they have? They have DTR. They have
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. That would be the redemp arc of redemp arcs.
I want to watch Jameis Winston. He's you hear that thing where the guy in the huddle was like, he's like Jameis when he gets to the huddle and he's telling the play, he acts like he's sharing a secret. He has a secret to share. Like it's his energy in the huddle. But anyway, I'm going to take Vegas -1 there. Also, good parlay advice. Take Watson's over on attempts and under on yards. It's hit almost every week.
Yeah. Well, I hope he doesn't get enough attempts today. I'm going to give you my pick here, and I think this is a disaster of a game. But the Browns defense is too good. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for them. I think the Raiders switched to Aiden O'Connell halfway through last week.
He played well.
They don't know what's happening.
He played well.
Yeah, maybe it's like 3rd stringers. But give me the Browns. Pat, do you disagree?
Well, I'm wearing a mustache right now in solidarity with Aiden O'Connell, so we'll see. I'll give him 1 week. 1 week.
Okay. We'll give it to you.
That might be the first time that the words "wearing a mustache" and solidarity have been
and with Aiden O'Connell, right?
Because you could do Gardner Minshew with the mustache too.
Daniel Jones, Travis Kelce,
playing both sides, yeah.
But his is like not good, and like that's the respect for someone who like really just does not have one going on to keep it, and he's not in great shape either, which I kind of like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just kind of looks like a burly fella. Yeah.
But I love it.
Next, we're going to have a divisional matchup where the Chiefs are going to go to the LA Chargers. Kansas City, big favorite here, -8.5. Pat, we'll let you go first here. What do you think?
I think this is going to be a very, very low scoring game. I would go under on pass attempts. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a time of possession snooze fest, but I think they cover at least.
Okay.
All right.
The Chargers
cover 8.5 points is a lot of points. So, John, you're pretty big into the points. Do you follow Pat's suit here?
Normally I would, but Herbert's got that bad ankle, and KC hasn't blown anybody out this year yet. And I think this might be the week for them to do that. So, Chargers looked weak against a good Steelers defense last week. So I'm going to take KC to cover here because I got burned by choosing underdogs to cover bigger spreads last week. Really bad. So
that is true.
I really burned.
Fool me one time. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Don't play the underdog. You.
Yeah.
That was bad. Anyways, my turn. The Chargers line is kind of banged up. Chris Jones is going to eat on that hobbled foot of Justin Herbert, and Carson Steele breaking out. Give me the Chiefs.
Yes. Man looks like a Madden creative
Steely?
Steele.
Carson Steele.
Sounds like
why are you putting the E on the end of the word then? I don't understand. It's just...
I don't know. It's the same thing with Kels, right? Kels or Kelsey?
He looks like Mark Wahlberg from... you guys ever watch that movie Boogie Nights?
No.
Mark Wahlberg tries to break into the adult industry. I'm sorry, not it's Philip Seymour Hoffman's character in hold on, let me see if I can share the screen real quick. Do I have that ability?
I don't think you do.
Okay, I'll send it in the chat so you can put it. But he looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman in Boogie Nights.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Well, I hope I have him for fantasy, so I hope he does something for me. Now, this next game is a rematch of the game that won us the division last year, the Titans and the Dolphins. Tennessee goes down to South Beach. Miami is somehow favored by 1 point. I don't know how that happens. But, John, do you think your hometown Titans here pull it off?
My hometown Titans, LOL. This is your classic stoppable force meets a movable object type of game. But I don't know. If Will Levis puts something normal in his coffee, maybe stop giving the ball away like Costco free samples. So I'm actually gonna go Tennessee +1 because I think Miami's that bad without Skyler or without Tua.
Yeah.
So
we could trash Tua all day long. I said this before when he was out. You don't realize that he's good until he's not there. And the Miami Dolphins look like a disaster fire. They need him for this offense to function. If they don't have Tua, it's a bust for Miami. Give me the Titans.
I got to go with the Titans again here. We'll see. Will Levis, get on the board here, bud.
Get on the board.
Two predictable things there. We know Pat's going to take the Titans, first of all, like through and through, even though they don't even have variable anymore, which kind of stinks a little bit. And two, it's like the Titans defense is always, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
I love it.
Flip a coin.
And guess who's leading the game picks right now by a wide
11-7.
Yeah.
3 games up. That's funny.
It's got that new dad luck going on.
So we are going to go to prime time in Detroit, in Ford Field. The Seattle Seahawks coming from the West Coast to Detroit. Detroit is -4 point favorite, and I will tell you they will cover that spread at home. Jared Goff is much better at home. That Ford Field crowd is like the 12th man in Seattle. It'll make it tough for Geno. Give me the Lions.
Seattle looks good. Like, I want to scare you, Brando. Geno's don't look now.
The Lions are good too. They almost went to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. Well, they don't look as good as they did at the end of last year, I think. And I mean, did you see the gift that they were given against the Cardinals? Did you see that?
Hook and ladder?
No, not the hook and ladder. The Jared Goff threw a pick 6 and they called the 2-minute warning, even though they snapped it with 2:01 left on the clock. I mean,
I don't know. I thought they were trying to call timeout. I didn't know what was going on.
You gotta be furious if you're Arizona. I mean, I like the Lions. I really do. But
do you
Arizona,
like them enough to take Detroit here?
I do.
Okay, that's all that matters.
I'm just saying, if you beat the Dolphins without Tua, you beat the Pats with geriatric, Jacoby and to beat the Broncos. I love Geno, but I feel like this team has not a
third in passing yards this year.
It would be like
that's not a great statistic either, because it's like Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott on the top, and both their teams are 1 and 2 because they've been trailing. That's why they're leading in passing. But Geno with a 3-0 record leading in passing yards is interesting.
I got him on my bench in our 2-quarterback league. He's very valuable commodity at the moment.
I always kept Geno on my bench, but Nate got rid of the IR spot, so I don't have anywhere to stash anybody.
I texted him about that. I did, because I got a few guys on IR at the moment, and I am devastated. It's the worst start to fantasy ever in my life. So
same. I'm 0-3. Pat, are you 0-3 too? Are we all 0-3?
No, Pat
I
just
beat you.
Me.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did Inglorious Stafford's.
Yes,
Brando.
Somebody needed to get a win there. So, Brando, you and I are still 0-3.
John, we can make a deal here or something if you want. We can make a shake up for our roster.
Somebody's going to take one for the team.
Yeah.
I'll take a fall for $10 to recoup half of my
we got to collaborate here. Yeah. You win, I get I win. You get
collusion.
Yeah. I don't know what collusion is, but Pat, I need to know if you're going to take the Lions.
I got to take them.
That's a good definition of collusion. Pat, you taking the Lions too here? All right, cool.
Love it. All right, Buffalo Bills going to Baltimore. They are somehow 2.5-point underdogs. Did they watch the game yesterday? Did anybody watch the game yesterday? Did anybody watch the Ravens play in the first 3 weeks of the season? Because that's interesting. Interesting line here. John, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, give me some passing props on the Bills for this game for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I'll keep this short because I know Patty has to go. So give me the Bills, baby.
Pat?
Well, I got to keep picking Bills to win, not to cover. I think that's just the secret to my success.
Yeah, but they're underdogs now. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, 2.5 point spread at home, I feel like is almost an even spread. I don't know if necessarily that's really like an unspoken rule, but yeah.
It's about there. Yeah, 1.5 to 2.5.
But what do they scored like 24 points in the first half against Dallas? I mean, they did come out pretty hot, so we'll see.
Yeah. So are you taking Ravens or Bills? Okay.
Bills win by exactly 2 points. That 2.5 point hook.
That's funny. Well, gentlemen, have you ever heard the saying, kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Because Josh Allen is going to be mumbling that as he stomples another bird, and he has a cardinal in one hand and a raven in the other. Give me the Bills, baby.
And just to clarify, Pat, so you can't win if the Bills win.
I can. They just got to win by 2 or less.
No, because the Bills are not favorited. It's the opposite.
Yeah,
they're
opposite. They're underdogs.
They're favorited so often that there is no Bills to win, not to cover. Because Baltimore could win and not cover.
That's true. That is true. I guess that's true.
So like you're getting Bills plus 2.5.
I would have to take the Bills on the money line, I guess.
You can no. You don't have to. Yeah. So you're taking Bills plus 2.5. So if you want the Bills, they can lose by up to 2.5. Well, 2 points.
Okay. Well, can you change it then? Change it.
Yes. I'll put Buffalo down there.
All right.
I was confused.
Gambling with Pat. Here, I got you, Pat. I'm putting Buffalo in the spreadsheet.
Don't let me down, or I will never ever do this again.
This is the once in a lifetime moment. Yeah.
Well, you're getting Buffalo and points. So
you take those when you can get them. I think.
Which is great. So anyway, Pat, we know you got to go. Let's press pause on the recording. We're going to take a really quick break. We'll be back. Me and Brando are going to break down some more of this game really quick for you guys and then look ahead to Baltimore. So we'll be right back after this.
So we're talking about Joe Brady's wicked awesomeness, and that you can't say that without Josh Allen. And the part that I thought was just so outstanding about the offensive play is, do you remember the episode where we compared the teams to cars?
Yeah, that was a classic.
It's probably my favorite episode we've ever done. I have that. When I share this show with people, I send them that episode.
We should do that more often because I feel like people would appreciate that.
That was a great episode. So you know, it's way back now. That was a long time ago. Bonus
episode this week where we rank the AFC by car models.
We need Pat for that. He had the best. Yeah. He had the best one-liners on there. But you know, as I'm watching this game, I'm looking at Josh Allen, and he's just an F-350 truck, right? He is a monster. but he is as efficient as a Ford Fiesta. The dude is getting 50 miles a gallon. He is completing 75% of his passes. He's making it look so easy, taking everything that he can. And like you said, it's like easy mode, like when we had Brian Daboll. And that sort of clickingness on the offense is what makes us different than before. So to see, I mean, what did he just have? One of those games, no sacks, no turnovers, 75% completion, 4 touchdowns, over 250 yards. He's the second player to do that. But and it's Josh Allen was the other time that somebody did that against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's not just the eye test either. Like, did you see the EPA per play chart that Ben Baldwin put out today?
He's number 1, right, in the league.
The Bills are number 1 in EPA per play by a wide margin, and their defense is in the top 10% of EPA per play too. And so it's like, if you look at that chart, it's like you have to extend the chart for the Bills because they're off the chart.
We love outliers in a positive direction.
And you know what? I'm going to throw something else in here that is really like what blows my mind about it. Despite all of this, the Bills have the second highest dead cap this year.
$62 million. We get
second
to add
highest
$62 million of talent
in the entire league. Right. And they're getting all that out of the way this year. I mean, there will still be some dead cap next year, right? But they moved, they took all of Stefan's dead cap this year instead of spreading it out over 2 years. They took all of Mitch Morse's dead cap, as far as I know, for this year. And
they took a
Brandon
chunk
Beane,
of trades.
Right now, too. Brandon Beane looks like a genius, like an absolute genius. I mean, we talked about it before on these other episodes. If you look at how these guys are playing, and I'm not trying to hate on these guys because I love them. I love their time on the Bills. Jordan Poyer, Trey White, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, they all, and maybe this is really just, well, obviously
all took an L.
Well, all their teams aren't doing very well, but it seems like they all played their best football in Buffalo by a wide margin.
Yes.
Some of that's probably age, but I think that some of that has to be attributed to like they really get the best out of their players in Buffalo. So right now on paper, we walked into this season thinking that this team did not have the best roster in the NFL. Yet they look like the best team in the NFL right now. And I don't think that that's exaggerating after 3 weeks.
Like, no, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, because like, it's not just that the Bills have looked so dominant, but like there isn't another team that's looked dominant. I mean, the Chiefs are 3-0, but they haven't looked dominant in the process.
They pay the refs. I forgot to say that for our game pick.
Right. San Francisco's 1-2. The Eagles are kind of weird right now. They're without AJ Brown, so that might be part of it.
TJ
Watt. The
Watt.
Steelers are 3-0. Like that's a glass house that's gonna implode like it did in 2021 for them when they went like 10-0.
As soon as TJ got hurt. Well, as soon as he comes off the field, it's different for them. But John, you say this, we're doing what we're doing with such. The word that I'm using is efficiency, because you used the cap space that you had. You are using the players that you have. You built a roster full of niche players that are combining so well together that you have this slate of weaponry. And it's okay to be average when the NFL is not all average. If you have 10 average players and the average NFL team has 6 average players, you are still doing better. And these guys are not average. Khalil Shakir is about to make it like 27 in a row where he catches targets. And he did have the drop, but it was a flag. I don't know if you caught that.
Right.
So it doesn't count. So he's 28 of 28 or something like that. I think the record's 29. And Dalton Kincaid were just waiting for that to ooze. They finally used Curtis Samuel. His toe must be a little bit better. And Keon Coleman ran a great route and caught the ball right in the breadbasket. So, and as long as James Cook keeps cooking, he's an X factor back there. But the thing that's going to be different, if you want to go into the defense a little bit, is how are we going to look again against a contender without our 2 studs in the middle, right? And I'm not counting Matt Milano here. I'm counting Benford and Bernard. Not Benford. I'm so sorry. I'm counting Terrell Johnson. Oh my God.
Taron Johnson.
I'm counting
and
Taron Johnson
Bernard.
and Terrell Bernard. Yes, because if you look at the Ravens offense, they target the middle of the field. Even if Josh Allen, if Mark Andrews.
Johnson, I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Taron Johnson is absolutely like the key to how they've stopped Baltimore in the past.
Yes.
It's not just the pick 6, but also in their game plan. Sorry, keep going.
No, Taron Johnson is such a huge part of all of these games against the Ravens. I mean, the pick 6 I tell the story all the time. I didn't even see it because the guy was giving me a hug, but it was on TV. I loved it. I saw the pic and then he hugged me. So I wish I would have got his name. He hugged me without his name. I don't know. Anyways, so to not
lover.
Yeah. But the Ravens target the middle of the field. They have, Zay Flowers runs these crossing routes and they're getting Hill targets out of the backfield. And Isaiah Likely is there, but they're weird. They're not using Mark Andrews at all. And
hardly. It's been a weird usage distribution because Isaiah Likely was like their number one receiver week 1 and then hasn't been since. And then Mark Andrews has been here and there, but so I don't know. It's they have almost as much of a toss up who's going to get targets offense as the Bills do, which is interesting because they do have a number 1 wide receiver in Zay Flowers, who they probably want to get the ball to more.
But he's not. I don't think he's a de facto number 1. I don't think he's the number 1 that you would say. I mean, it's kind of like the Bills. We don't have a number 1, but Khalil Shakir is a number 1 right now. In fantasy, I think he's the 18th rated wide receiver. His target share is just outside the top 25 receivers in the league right now. So if you look at those metrics, right, you want to be top 30 or higher as number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. So you look at those and Shakir's there. It's almost there. And if he can get another one of these good games where he's getting 60, 70 yards on 6 or 7 catches and a touchdown, if he can do that every week, we don't need a number 1. But I feel like the Ravens, something's lacking for them one way or another. And generally speaking, it's kind of Lamar's decision making. So, John, I got one for you here. If the Bills keep playing the way that they're playing right now and Josh Allen's lighting it up and they're super efficient and they're winning these games, Lamar Jackson's going to win MVP again. No, it's a joke.
Okay.
He got robbed. Allen keeps getting robbed.
Okay, I was like, my brain literally melted there for a second. It just was like, forgot what sarcasm is.
If you watch these ends of the games, I mean, he missed some throws against Dallas that almost let Dallas come back into this game. He did miss throws against the Chiefs. He missed a wide open guy in the end zone at the end of the game. You see Allen missing any guys at all once this year?
No.
Maybe one deep pass, like too long, but it's never in danger. It's never in any sort of thing. So I really want Allen to get this game so he can have this notch in his belt when it comes down to the MVP race, because he is due. This is his
and
time.
For the AFC race, because if you think about it in even the standings, what it means to have a tiebreaker with Baltimore, it's like, if you're up, I mean, if Baltimore has 1 win through 4 weeks and you have a tiebreaker over them, it's like you almost don't have to worry about them for the most part. And I don't want to jinx anything, but you don't have to worry about them for the rest of the season because they're going to have to stack wins like nobody's business.
Yeah.
And your destiny is already in your hands at the beginning of the year, which I guess everybody's destiny is in their own hands at the beginning of the year. But
no, if you have a quarterback who sucks, but this is also interesting. You see this fact, the top 10 paid quarterbacks through 30 games played only have 10 wins apiece total between all of them. That money.
I think that's probably just where the cycle is, right? Like, because any QB cycle, I mean, how long ago was Kirk Cousins the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? Like, everybody kind of gets their time, right? Except for, and then that is also inflated, and that's probably indicative of the Joe Burrows of the world who are struggling right now. Tua losing to the Bills, if they count that as a start, but
Trevor Lawrence, 53 million a year. Jared Goff,
he's like 0-8 and then his last 8 or something like that.
Yeah, 8 losses in a row. And then you go back to the point that you were saying earlier, where we have our players. I think of my students. Sometimes they get a kid out in the game and they give him the L dance and be like, oh, we can't be doing that, buddy. Like let's win with class, but we're giving all these Bills players L's, and you wonder to Gabe Davis, how much was it really worth for him to go to Trevor Lawrence? How much is it really worth somebody to come here and Curtis Samuel, whatever, take a pay cut as a receiver because of what you're going to get on the field? It's one of those intangible things that is priceless. And Gabe Davis had 18 yards yesterday, and how many Bills wide receivers went over 18 yards?
That's all of them.
Most of them, right? Yeah.
But,
so you can spread the wealth, but
yeah. I think that they were, money or not, I think that they were ready to move on from Gabe Davis because they were ready to try something different at that position. Because the drops are a problem when you're a wide receiver. Like you need that. Those are drive wreckers. It takes so much effort to get a ball in the right spot 20 yards down the field. And if you can't clamp it, like that's so much negative, expected points per play. That just tanks your EPA. So, but anyway, I just, another interesting fact too, back to the salary cap thing that I have written down here. Do you know who number 3 in dead cap this year is? Well, you can probably guess number 1.
Are we 1?
No, we're number 2. No, number one. Think about it. Just think about it for a little bit. Quarterback, a lot of dead cap.
It is not.
Quarterback that's still in the league has been not playing because he's injured. It's so hard to think of this off.
Miami?
No. Denver with Russell Wilson's contract.
I forgot about that.
Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
Anyway, number 3. Guess who's number 3 in dead cap? This is even harder because I wouldn't have guessed this.
Where's New Orleans on this list, man?
I don't know. I don't have the full list here. But number 3 is Minnesota, who is also 3-0, surprisingly. So they probably have some. I don't know if they have Kirk Cousins dead cap. Maybe some of that.
I don't know.
I thought his contract ran out, but maybe they still had a little bit left. Maybe they extended him after his initial big contract because his big contract was like 6 years or something like that. But anyway, I think that's super interesting that the Bills are up there with that amount of dead cap.
Well, the other part about this is, which maybe this treads to be true, is, it's the triage of events, right? If you have $80 and you have to buy groceries and you have to get gas, you might put $20 of gas in, you might buy less groceries, try to get more bang for your buck. Maybe these NFL teams.
Or if you're Brando, put $20 into DraftKings and pay for your groceries that way.
And lose it. Because James Cook lost a yard on his last carry.
Oh, that was a bad beat.
40 yards, buddy. I needed it to hit that 5-legger. So that would have been extra groceries this week. But no, I get ramen noodles now. So
thanks, Brandon, James, your figure's looking great. So it's
thank
you.
So oh, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, I want to be skinny like this. So no. You lost my train of thought. Efficiency on the money, right? No, you got to find the deals. You can't overpay. You can't give a Deshaun Watson a boatload of cash. You can't give Trevor Lawrence a boatload of cash. You have to find the deals that are going to carry you to be efficient and successful. And the NFL is an interesting place because the middle class for quarterbacks is gone, right? We said Geno's making $25 a year, or Baker was making $25 a year. I think it's Geno now. Geno and Baker were like the only 2 guys, and now Baker got his. So Geno's just sitting in the middle, man. He's enjoying the life, but he might not have a yacht, but he's not on my bass boat. You know what I mean? So if the league as a whole now, you kind of see it shifting with receivers now. This upper echelon of receivers, these low end receivers are, look at Jennings in San Francisco, right? Has a huge game. Look at around the league. Name your guy. Jacoby Myers had a big game. You see these rookie deals, but it's the next contract. Gabe Davis is on that next contract. He's not giving you his value,
Yeah. Well, a lot of this too, and I guess I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole because a lot of what it boils down to, I remember Jeremy talking about this over the summer, is that the cap goes up by so much that these contracts inflate to basically their normal percentage of total cap.
Yes.
So like Justin Jefferson's huge monster contract that was like over $30 million a year or something like that was still on par. It was still less than Tyreek Hill's contract. Original deal. Yeah. Because as measured as a percentage of the total cap. Yeah. So when the cap raises, like, obviously you're going to get higher numbers and flashier numbers, and that's going to continue to go up as the cap raises by whatever, 25 million a year. So, but I think it's impressive that the Bills are doing it with so much dead cap because that is something that you can rank against the field and look at. So,
and Brandon Beane has been very good in where he spends the big dollars. You take Von Miller for an example. That's a big red flag for how old he is. And we did lose a season, but he's performing now. Right. He had a great sack yesterday. He caught Trevor Lawrence from behind. Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be fast and athletic like Josh Allen. Von Miller said, no. He's looked good. The other thing is with Von, sorry to sidetrack here, he looked like he wanted to stay on the field more. One thing you kind of notice at the game more is the substitutions. And when they rotate that D-line so much, Miller looked amped up. So when it was his turn to rotate, It's never a big deal, but it's just the body language. He's just like, all right, the little head flip down or the little look down or the little hands on his shoulders where it's time to come out. Like he wants to be in there to eat. And Josh Allen gets his big deal. We go back to Brandon Beane's efficiency with his big money contracts. Which one has he missed on? Has he missed on one? I don't see one. Curtis Samuel's not a lot of money. The O-line has produced very well for their value.
It's been a while since they've had a bad contract. I mean, like you're going back to like Trent Murphy. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Can't believe we just pulled out the Trent Murphy contract at the same time.
So to look at the scape of the NFL, to all of these players that are making so much money not performing, you got to hit on those. They're okay to give out. You got to give them out to the right people at the right time in their age windows for your team. What do you need next? So Brandon Beane is a magician at that. And now I think we got to get Christian Medford one of these deals here before he wants more than $10 million a year. And extend Douglas. Extend Douglas.
Yeah. If he's older, but yeah, that would be great too. So I'm going to ask you this. This is kind of like a, not to steal the WGR segment, but a little bit of a let's get stupid. This is totally pie in the sky. Like I'm just prefacing.
Can I guess what it is before
you
say anything?
Sure.
Micah Parsons to the Buffalo Bills.
No, I'm not talking player deals or anything like that.
Okay.
Is there anybody because again, like we just want one Super Bowl. We just want to win one, and then we can all die happy.
If we could get four though to avenge the 4 losses,
wouldn't that be like poetic justice to get 4 in a row? I'm just saying, like, is there anybody in the NFL set up to win multiple Super Bowls better than the Bills? First person you go to is the Chiefs, right?
No.
I don't think that they're set up better than the Bills are right now, because the Bills are, again, it's the $62 million in dead cap.
Yeah.
Like this Bills roster is looking on par or better than every other team in the NFL. And next year we'll have $60 million of, it's not exactly that, but they will have like such a big
take out a little bit of
you
added a $20 million raise. Now you're 80, and then you're going to take 30 of that out for your extension. So you're looking at 50 to 60. And you want to talk about let's get stupid, John. I said Micah Parsons because the Cowboys can't pay for them, and Von's contract's off. So you want to spend big money on somebody that's going to add talent to this team. Maybe you get Von. He does have 3 years left air 3 years, whatever, the void crap, but he could play. He doesn't have to retire. You get Von and Micah Parsons on the same D line. But look around the NFL. You're right. Who is set up to be better? Texas is my first example, but their defense is bad. Their defense is bad. So it kind of bad, at least through these first few games. Our defense is outstanding. Again,
they have a QB on a rookie contract, which kind of gives you a similar advantage to a $60 million cap space,
And then I look at Detroit because they're super well-rounded, and they have a great coach with a great offense. I mean, Ben Johnson, he's made a couple of questionable calls the first few games. I feel like trying to get Jameson Williams involved for Detroit is kind of throwing off their offense. They're not getting Sam Laporta the ball. They're kind of going away. They're straying from what they were great at. So kind of like the Bills strayed, they have to find their way back. So that might take a couple games.
Again, like teams are scheming them up with a full year of film.
Yeah.
When teams know your tendencies and what you want to do, that's why I think it's so great what the Bills are doing this year. And from what I've seen, because it's like, we don't care we want to do this. Like we have to get the ball to Diggs. We have to get the ball to Kincaid. We need to feed Cook. Yeah. Like nothing is forced. And again, that's easy to say when your offense is going for 7 yards of play and marching down the field. And, when they get stopped for a field goal, it's a surprise. Like it's easy to say when that happens, but like they're just having their way for the most part, even in the games that they were down against Arizona. But
even in this fold, John, as a coach, when I'm coaching modified basketball, I have to game plan for like one kid on the other team, right? You maybe game plan for 1 or 2 kids on the other team. If you have a solid 5-6 man rotation, like my team that went undefeated was hard to coach against because we could come at you with different looks. The Bills right now are a opposing coach's nightmare. What are you going to dedicate your time to in practice? Are you going to dedicate your time to stopping our run game when Allen just throws 4 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Are you going to?
Or Josh is scrambling. Or Dalton Kincaid. Or Curtis Samuel.
You name it, the Bills can do it. Teams just to practice as the Bills. We talked about Isaiah McKenzie being Lamar Jackson for the scout team, right? There's no Josh Allen practice player. It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. How are you going to spend your time building your defense against this team. You have no idea what we're going to do. You have to self-scout. What is my biggest weakness? What are the Bills going to attack me at? And you have to kind of think of it retrospectively, which these coaches don't do. All you have to do is look up Josh Allen man coverage. In the history of the NFL, he's like number 2 ever against man coverage. And the guy in Jacksonville's like, oh, we're going to go man coverage, man. We're going to go man coverage.
Because they like, that's what they do. Like, that's their identity. It's one dimensional. And that's what's so great about the Bills on offense and defense too, is like how multi-dimensional they are and how many different ways they can beat you. Like, there's not one way that the Bills can win a game. Like, if you look at a team like the Titans were historically, they had one path to victory, and it was not running up the scoreboard. It was playing great defense, getting Derrick Henry going, and playing a controlled possession game. That's like what New England is right now. They have one way to win the game, and we saw that when Jets started putting up some points, like, they cannot play from behind. The Bills can play from 42-0 in front, or the Bills can play down 21-7, you know, against the Cardinals. They can play in both areas, and they have the tools and the weapons to do it. And I just I know it's early on in the season, but I just want to give Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott all the credit at this point because they deserve it. So,
John, the theme of yesterday, after every single thing that happened, I just look, God, we're so good. Why are we so good? What is going on? We're so good. Oh my God, we're so good. Like, all day long, I'm just like, what is happening? We're so good. I appreciate this team so much. This might be one of my favorite Bills additions in quite some time.
Yeah. Well, isn't it like that's the fun that we missed? Like, you remember what it feels like. It's almost like we forgot, even though we've had a good team this entire time. Like, you remember what those Brian Daboll offenses felt like. This is what I talk about all the time. You remember the Monday night game where they're in the Stormtroopers and they go to San Francisco. I talk about that one all the time. That was such a fun game to watch. You know, you talk about the playoff
Broncos game in December. Remember that game? Yep. There used to be 3 or 4 of these a season, and now we were lucky. You know, we had a couple early on last year, but they were also, they're also kind of against stinkers. We've done this against decent teams now.
Yeah.
Jacksonville should have beat Miami. They should have been maybe 2-1 coming in, or maybe 1-1 coming in, and they're not. And, you know, we smoked them. And their owner was so funny. He's like, this is the best Jacksonville Jaguars team ever on paper, ever assembled. So we have high expectations here. And I guess he was freaking out at the game last night. I don't know.
Yeah, I would be too. But no. Anyway, I have one more thing before we kind of wrap this up here, because we're up against it here. There was one moment that I noticed when I was watching highlights last night that really, like, actually this morning, but it just showed me Josh is in such complete command of this offense and is, like, mature in ways that, like, we can just see his growth year over year continuing into year 7, which is really good to see. Anyway, this is the first drive of the game. He's in the middle of his cadence and he's in shotgun, and Mac Hollins is in motion, and Josh looks up at the play clock.
Calls timeout.
No. He looks up at the play clock instead of calling a timeout. He yells at Mac Hollins, get set, or get set now. Before Mac Hollins had finished his motion to where he was supposed to be, he's like, just get set now, because basically 2 players had gone into motion, and if Mac Hollins didn't get set before Josh snapped it right at the play clock, then they would have gotten called for illegal shift. They were already in 1st and 15. So they would have backed up to 1st and 20. And that play that they got off was the 9-yard slant route to Curtis Samuel. So basically that first touchdown probably wouldn't have happened just by that little decision where Josh was like, get set. And he had the presence of mind to think, normally when you have someone in motion, it's not a problem, but there was 2 people in motion at the same time. They both have to get set before the snap. He's like, get set. And he waited like 1 full second for Mac Hollins, and it was just like exactly a second
just
for Mac
exactly
Hollins.
What you need. Yep.
Exactly, like the minimum what you need, and snap the ball with the clock at 0.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, his head is really in it. And
it's amazing.
This is what we've always talked about. Like, Josh is an athletic freak. If he becomes one of the smartest quarterbacks in the NFL, and it seems like that's what he's developing into, like, I mean, it's unstoppable.
Out. Yeah. That gives him the nod over Patrick. I don't care what anybody says. The more that he does this, I will bring this discussion to the people again. I know people wanted to argue about this last time, but the more he plays like this, the better he will be, more than Mahomes, because Mahomes he's got everything that he needed. I don't know. He's got the number 1 receiver in football right now.
it's hard to match the championships, right? When you talk about these historical things, like again, we'll talk to that. We'll talk about that. Yeah, he's not done for now, but I don't see why you can't think that his ceiling isn't higher than Brady talent wise, because
definitely it's not a question
because Brady had it all up here.
Yes.
And Brady wasn't a physical freak like Allen. So it's like, if someone like Josh can really put it together up there and be like super cerebral reading defense and that detailed in his preparation, which again, maybe no one's like that because Tom Brady was complete psycho when it came to preparation. And that's why he was so good. But
I think you see it though. Two things. Dan Orlovsky, who said he watched every snap of Allen's career, thinks that he's playing the greatest football he's ever seen be played. Yeah. And this is a stretch of quarterbacking that is elite of elite of elite. I don't have any charts or outliers, but I have my brain and I've got 20 years of watching football, and I have not seen as much quarterback play this good in a long time. And then the other part of it is, I think it's kind of funny. It goes along with what you said, John. Do you think that the coaching staff is happy that Allen's got a massive glove on and is kind of protecting himself from injury? Because not only is he sliding pretty regularly, he is making the smart play. And this has nothing to do with his hand or not hand. But, he's saying
Sean McDermott's going to take him in the back room once his hand heals and maybe it just little hammer on that finger.
But there was the play in the end zone, and I was right. I was in the back of the end zone. They're going the other way when he slid, and I'm like, you could have made that, buddy. Like, you could have hurdled both those guys, at least gone through them, and he didn't, and we still scored. I think was that the Kincaid touchdown? I don't know. Maybe that was the Ray Davis touchdown.
I don't remember which drive. We were going that direction.
Yeah. So it was funny because he made the right play all day. Every single time. There was a couple of plays. I remember, again, this one was the Kincaid touchdown because it was right after the corner route. The Bills ran a play action pass. Both receivers went to the end zone. Maybe it was a second and short. And I'm like, this is a good time for a shot play. Both receivers were covered in the end zone. And I thought he was going to kind of force it. And he took the underneath route for like 8 yards. And I look at the guy next to me. I was like, do you see that? What just happened? And he's like, no, what do you mean? And I was like, that Bills play call was a shot to the end zone. There was, 2 of the 3 options on that field were in the end zone, and Allen didn't take it. He took the underneath easy route. I was like, that's a big deal here in Buffalo. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, that's a big deal. So and then they go down and score. I'm like, it's so easy. And it's interesting when you're betting the live game props. It's like you bet an offensive score or you bet a punt. The offensive score, it's like, Josh, just don't throw a pick, man. Like, we're going to score. Just don't turn it over. And if he can get that in his head where he just has 8 drives a game where he is playing for the offensive score instead of the touchdown. It doesn't, whatever. I don't care. Whatever he's doing, don't change it. Let's go. One more thing. Big shout out to the fans there yesterday. It was an electric game the whole time from the beginning. We got that start hot. You know how I feel about something good happening at the beginning of the game to get the crowd involved. So those first 2 possessions are a huge swing. And then we score again, right? Tyler Bass, whatever. He missed another kick. It was blocked. Was it blocked?
It was blocked, yes. This one was.
All right, well. Sorry, Tyler, for the slander. But Jags fans were cool that were there. I talked to a few of them. They were really nice. It was raining all the way up till kickoff. It stopped and then it started again, like right at the end of the game. Like right as the clock hit 00, it started raining again. And I just kept telling everybody it was Jacksonville's tears coming down after the game. But it was an awesome night. I hope everybody that went there had a good time. I had a good time. It was one of those most fun home games that I've worked in a long time. So kudos to the Bills fans that were out there.
Hopefully many more to come as well. But
not for a few weeks. We're not there until end of October.
Yeah. Tough stretch here coming up. But hopefully they do well. We'll see if we can tape some Brando's bets later this week and give you guys a bonus episode or something like that.
I have it right now. Can I give it to you? It'll take 5 seconds.
All right. Let's do it.
All right.
Roll the Brando's bets.
Time for Brando's Bets.
Not financial advice. Please gamble responsibly.
I said it in the game picks. Josh Allen's going to be walking around having killed 2 birds with 1 stone, the Cardinals and the Ravens. So my Brando's pick of the week is the Bills on the money line, baby. You take those Ravens and you stuck them in that cage and you send them packing. Even though we're the ones traveling, they're going to be packing to the basement of the AFC after they lose this game. Josh Allen's taking these birds out one at a time on his way to that 1 seed. I believe it's plus 110. Bills on the money line. Let's get that 4th win in a row.
Sorry. I like it. Bills money line. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. But lack of props. So
no props out this early.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I got to start doing John's top 10 again here. We've been slacking on that, but we'll figure out.
It's a long episode to do everything here.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It's too much, but hopefully you guys enjoyed listening. Hopefully you even you made it to this point in the episode. We appreciate all of you. As always, you know where to find us on all social platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's all at Not Buff Podcast if you type it in. Again, if you're enjoying listening to us, we'd love a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Appreciate all of you. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.